Well, 129 is the psalm we're in today. We're getting close to the end of the psalms. It's been a long journey this year, and I've been richly rewarded by studying them and explaining to you and using this here technique, this here paradigm to reflect on the psalm. So it's been very rewarding. Pray it's been rewarding for you as well. Psalm 129 today is another one of those psalms called an imprecatory psalm that makes us uncomfortable. Imprecations are curses, and it's really cursing their enemies. And we wonder, what are we supposed to do with that? Are we to pray as God's people today for the cursing of our enemies? Well, let's take a look at this. Psalm 129. I pray that you get your Bible out and follow along. Notice begins many times they have persecuted me from my youth up. So this is the psalmist reflecting on a lifetime of persecution. Oh, by the way, it's saying, "Let Israel now say." So it's not only the psalmist, but the psalmist is reflecting on the history of Israel, that from inception, Israel has been persecuted. From its youngest days, Israel has been persecuted. And it's repeated twice, many times, many times. Yet they have not prevailed against me. So the psalmist is reflecting on the fact that not only has Israel been under siege, it's been opposed, it's been persecuted, but the enemies have never been allowed to wipe them out. They've never disappeared. It's amazing that Israel even exists today. I mean, no other nation on earth went for 2,000 years without a land of their own and maintained their own integrity and identity and have been restored to their historic homeland. So that is God making sure that their enemies don't prevail against them. It goes on here to use some figurative language. The plowers plowed upon my back, they lengthened their furrows. So he's picturing here really scourging, I think, think of a plow going over a field and digging in deep in the field and turning it over. So he's talking about how the plowers, the enemies of Israel, have really persecuted them, such as so it's almost as if they were plowing across Israel's back and making those furrows longer and longer. How painful that might be. And he reflects again, the Lord is righteous. So the plowers are not, the Lord is righteous. He has cut in two the cords of the wicked. So he has kind of turned those plows loose from the oxen that were dragging them, cut them off and broken them. Then the psalmist here turns, "May all who hate Zion be put to shame and turn backward." So this is the part that makes us uncomfortable, doesn't it? To hear the psalmist speaking for God, by the way, this is the inspired psalmist. These are God's words being breathed out to us, saying, "May all who hate Zion be put to shame. Let they be like grass upon a housetop." So what would happen is Israel would roof their house with sod. And that sod would, of course, grow for a while, but when the heat came and it couldn't reach down into the soil beneath for moisture, it would wither up. And that's what he's picturing here. The reaper does not fill his hand, or the binder of sheaves his bosom. So just when the opponent was about to steal from Israel its wealth, they come up with nothing. They come up with nothing at all. So let's meditate on this uncomfortable verse, right? Let's do the hard part. May all who hate Zion be put to shame and turn backward. So for the original hearers, Zion, of course, is that mountain that Jerusalem is built around. It's the mountain on which the temple of the Lord, it stands for the presence of God, the presence of the Davidic Messiah there. And those whose hate is against the Lord, against his reign, against his rule, against that place, he is saying, may they be put to shame, may they be shamed. turned backwards. So think of an army on the march that all of a sudden runs into an invincible foe and is turned away, fleeing for their lives. That's what he's picturing here, that they would be turned back. We see this in Zechariah chapter 14, where the enemies of Israel are about to overcome Jerusalem, about to vent their full hatred on Zion when Jesus appears at the top of the Mount of Olives and in a word turns them back. So that's what we see here for Israel. What do we see for the church? Well, I think what we can pray in our time, in our dispensation, in this church age, is we can pray that the Lord will, and we know He will, shame and turn back all those who come against His church. That is a legitimate prayer that we can make. Certainly pray for their salvation. Certainly pray for the Lord to open their eyes, but we know for a fact that not everyone will be saved. We know for a fact that right to the end, in fact, even at the end of the millennial kingdom, there's going to be those who hate Zion and try to attack her. And it's a sad but unfortunate thing, and God is going to shame them and turn them backward. So this is part of praying for His kingdom to come, His will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. So brothers and sisters, you can pray for the church in general around the world. You can pray for the church in the United States. You could pray for your local church, that those who oppose your local church would be put to shame and turned backward, and know that the Lord will do that. He has promised to do that. So in terms of responding to this, I'd say add that to your prayers. Add to your prayers this prayer that God would come and shame and turn away those who oppose His church, and after the rapture, those who oppose His people. So God bless you. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Hopefully this is encouraging you not to run away from those imprecatory psalms, but to dig in a little bit and see what they mean and see how they apply and see how we can respond.